Algebra tends to be one of those things in math that a lot of people have fear of. There's really no reason to have any fear of algebra. It's something you use every day. You just haven't realized that you put it in that context. For example, you want to buy 4 cans of juice for $2. How much does each can cost? Well, you could divide the 4 into $2, and we would end up with 50 cents. But we can do the same thing algebraically. We say 4 times some unknown number, and that's what the x represents, a variable, equals 200. So when you have a letter and a number together like this in algebra, that represents a multiplication. So we use the inverse. We divide both sides by 4. 4 goes to 4. We get 1x equals 50. We're right back to what we got on this one. But algebra is a much stronger tool because it allows you to solve for multiple unknowns, whereas this one is just for one. So algebra is a tool that will allow you to do a lot more math than you realize and do it much more easily. And there's something you want to worry about or be feared of, have fear of, because mathematics is based on the 4 basic operations. Then the next step you go up to algebra. And algebra is an amazing tool. In fact, our world wouldn't survive today without algebra. We're using it all the time, and it's a tool that once you learn to master, you'll be surprised how easy you can use it. And the key is finding the unknown in algebra. And we represent by using letters to represent these unknowns because we don't have the number value. So it's a toy in a way that you can use all different kinds of ways. And it's fun to experiment with algebra because it allows you to solve things you couldn't solve any other way easily. You might have to guess a lot. You might come up with the answer, but algebra solves it immediately. In algebra, you just might come up this. You've got a boss, okay? He tells you you have this board. He tells you have this 18-foot board. He wants you to cut it into 2 pieces. All he tells you is that the longer piece is 3 times the shorter plus 2 feet, and he leaves. How long is each piece? Oh boy. Well, you've only got one board, so you can't do practicing to see if you can get it to be correct. So what we do is we learn to use algebra. So we learn which one we don't know anything about is the key. Which of the 2 pieces don't we know anything about? Well, we know something about the longer one is 3 times the shorter one plus 2 feet, so we know the longer one. The shorter one we don't know anything about, so we give it x. So the shorter equals 1x. And the longer one is what? It's 3 times that, so that's 3x. Okay, the longer one equals 3x plus 2 feet. And those together have to equal 18 feet. So now we add up the number of x's. We have 4x plus 2 equals 18. Solve this, we do 4x plus 2 equals 18. We remove a term, which is what you do in algebra, minus 2 on this side. This is an equation. With an equation, whatever we do on one side, we always do on the other. So 2 from 2, that cancels these out. I have 4x equals 16. Okay, now I divide both sides by 4. By 4, I get 1x equals 4. So no, the shorter piece is 4 feet long, and the other one is what? Is going to be 12 feet plus 2 more. So this is 12 plus 2, and that gives me what? 12 plus 2 is 14, and 4 gives me 18 feet. I'm back to where I started with, and I solved the problem. Algebra lets you do things like this very easily. So it has a real everyday use if you can apply it to it. And many, many problems you run into can be solved this way. So algebra is a great tool, not to be afraid of it. It's simple. It really helps you greatly in solving these kinds of problems. So algebra is your friend. Don't be afraid of him.